Beth checked the contents of her bag one last time, nodding in satisfaction. She had been waiting for this day for weeks, spending every spare minute researching. She had slogged through creepypastas as endless as they were unoriginal. She had endured hours of so-called genuine reaction videos, watching as the brave gamers shrieked at every predictable jump scare. She had even played the game herself. Through it all, she had watched him feast on their fear, their adoration, just like any other live parasite. With every terrified gamer, every whimpering 12-year-old, Slender Man's powers grew. He was invincible, or so he thought. He had yet to encounter a chain smasher. Someone who neither feared nor admired him. Someone dedicated to his utter annihilation. Every tool in her inventory had been specially selected to strip him of his power, to show him for the sham that he was. She had learned his tricks, his mannerisms, his weaknesses. She would show no mercy. And she was only the scout. Beth glanced at her laptop, giving the code a quick look over before pressing the enter key. Sequence initiated. She chuckled as the transmitter activated. "I hope you're ready, Slendy," she said with a wicked grin. "This time, I'll be doing the hunting." When her vision cleared, she found herself deep in a forest. A thick fog snaked between the tall spindly trees, obscuring the faint light to the point that one could scarcely see the path ahead. The forest was unusually silent, save for the occasional hooting of an owl or rustle of dead leaves. "I'll give you some credit for ambience," Beth commented, pulling a flashlight from her pack. "But you'll have to do better than that." With a click that sliced through the calculated silence, the flashlight activated, burning a pathway through the fog. She continued along the path, making note of any landmarks she passed. She didn't plan on staying long enough to need any of them, but anything here could be used against him. She smiled as the light fell on the first note. "Hello there." She snatched the crumpled paper from the gnarled tree, shaking her head as she read it. "Don't look or it takes you," she muttered. How absolutely terrifying. She stuffed the note into her pack, smiling in satisfaction as the telltale pulse sounded quietly through the trees. "Oh dearie me. Whatever will I do?" She pulled a small notebook and jotted down a short note. "I'm in." Somewhere far from the forest, the message shone through, signaling the others to ready themselves. Soon, they would have their turn. She continued through the forest, stashing notes as she discovered them. With each note collected, the pulsing deepened, joined by a low, grating sound and the occasional sharp outburst of piano keys. He was getting impatient. Not once had she lost her cool. Not once had she spun to face him, only to find the empty forest. None of his tricks were working. He couldn't even distort her vision, his most basic yet somehow effective trick, rendered useless by her not bringing a camera. It was time to make an entrance. She smiled, noting the distinct change in atmosphere. "What, getting impatient, Slendy?" "Patience. I still have one more note to find." As if on cue, her light fell on the final note, bearing the bland, scrawled message, "You can't run." "Who says I want to?" She snickered, tucking the final note away. "Now time to have some fun with you." She jotted down another note, "On his way." "Oh, Slendy. I've got all your papers. Aren't you going to do something about that?" Her voice echoed through the forest, disrupting his carefully constructed ambient sound. "Any second now," she muttered, casually walking down the path. "I sure hope nothing bad happens. That would sure scare me," she called out, scanning the fog for any movement. "Golly gee, I might not be able to get out of here. I sure hope I'm not lost." Silence. "I hope the Slenderman isn't following me. I might just have a heart attack." Silence. "Why, he's so terrifying I might just die." Crunch. She smiled. "Gotcha." Rather than turn to face her pursuer, she reached into her pack, tightening her grip on her weapon of choice. "I sure hope he isn't behind me," she began slowly, readying herself for the attack. That would be a surprise. On the final word, she spun around, drawing her weapon from her pack. He stood there, gangly arms outstretched, dozens of black tentacles lashing out from his shoulders and back. Beth merely smiled, holding up her weapon, a mirror. He recoiled violently, arms and tentacles retracting. "What's the matter, Slendy? Don't like what you see?" She waited a moment before continuing. "Oh, right. You're not one for talking. I can fix that. But first, why don't we turn the lights on?" She held the button on her flashlight, every second increasing its brilliance until it reached a blinding intensity. The Slenderman recoiled further, lifting his hands as if to fend off an attacker. Beth smiled in satisfaction, hurling the flashlight to the ground. In a flash of excruciating light, the fog and darkness were burned away, revealing the forest in all its banality. "That's much better, isn't it? Now we can see your beautiful face." She pulled an ornate pen from her pack. "Now hold still. This will only hurt a little." Before he could react, Beth threw the pen at his face, where it stuck with a sickening thunk, as though it had hit clay. "Let's put some features on that bread dough." The pen vibrated, wiggling itself free of Slenderman's pulpy face. With a few deft strokes, it colored a mouth, eyes, and a nose onto the blank face. Its work complete, the pen abruptly exploded, spraying a searing, clear fluid over his face. He let out a roar of pain, truncating it abruptly as he realized the sound was his own. Beth chuckled. "Much better. Now we can converse like civilized people." "What have you done?" he snarled, lunging forward. Beth tutted, holding the mirror out. "That's not how the game works now." Seeing his new reflection filled him with a revulsion deeper than the mirror itself had. He crumpled to the ground, covering his face. "What is that thing?" He risked a glance at it, instantly regretting it. "This little thing?" Beth asked, gesturing at the mirror. "A mirror. A very special mirror. See, with this mirror, I can make you see yourself how I see you. Not very nice, is it?" He merely hurled a cheap insult at her, attempting to crawl back into the forest. "I don't think so, Slendy," she drawled, pulling a small black sphere from her bag. "One more step, and I'll be forced to use this." Another cheap insult. She shook her head, flicking the sphere at him. Upon making contact, the sphere exploded, unleashing a massive net that wrapped him completely, tangling between various trees and anchoring him in place. He let out a yelp of surprise before resorting to cussing. "You just never learn, do you?" she began, holding out the mirror as she approached him. "You can't run. You can't win, not this game." She smiled darkly. "Not any game. What do you want?" he snarled. "I don't know you." "Oh, but I know you. I know all your tricks, all your precious little scares and gimmicks. And I'm not impressed." She stood directly in front of him, holding the mirror mere inches from his face. "Take a nice long look. I want you to remember." He unleashed another string of curse words, struggling violently against the net. "Your little teleportation trick won't work here, Slendy." She laughed, shaking her head. "You know what? I'm gonna tell you something funny. No, really, you'll get a kick out of this one." She knelt in front of him, looking directly at his patchwork face. "I used to think you were creepy scary, even before I knew what you really were. Nothing more than an altered image, someone's little Photoshop project. You're a sham, Slendy. A fake. It's time you realized that." She lifted the mirror above her head, bringing it down on Slenderman's with shattering force. A wave of brilliant silver burst from the shattered mirror, washing over them. It sunk into him, bringing with it an inescapable revulsion. 1,000 voices within his mind screamed and howled at him, calling him out for the fraud he was. And worse still, their disgust, their venom, seemed to match his own. For the first time in his own life, he fully realized what he was. What have you done?" he hissed, his own self-loathing nearly incapacitating him. "How do you forget so easily, Slendy? The mirror made you see yourself as I see you. Now you always will." As he fought the waves of combined self-pity and loathing, he came upon a final, grim conclusion. "If I can't exist, I'm taking you with me," he roared. "This is my world. We play by my rules." With a ferocious bellow, he burst free of the net, snarling and snorting like an animal. The tentacles burst from his shoulders, lashing toward Beth with unparalleled ferocity. She smiled, holding out her hand. The tentacles collided with an invisible force field, bouncing harmlessly off. I figured you wouldn't come quietly. Know this, if you insist on fighting, I will show no mercy. You took everything from me. He roared. I mattered. People loved me, people feared me. I was all-powerful. Now I'm nothing. I will rip your pathetic bones from your body. I will hang your dripping carcass for the maggots to devour. I will make you pay. Her smile took on a dark edge. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping for a fight. She levitated a few feet from the ground, stopping when she reached his height. You've had this coming a long time. He snarled, lashing his arms at her. In a flash, she teleported behind him, firing a blast of energy from her hands. He whirled to face her, only to find she had teleported across the clearing. Hey, Slendy. She called, sending another blast of energy at his face. He spun again, whirling desperately in an attempt to catch her. Every time, he was just a fraction too slow, turning just in time to take an energy blast to the face. Oh, silly Slendy. When will you ever learn? She took hold of his tentacles, yanking him backward. You were never in control. No! He hissed, struggling desperately to free himself. Everything you did, everything you're doing, is because I let you. She tightened her grip, swinging him around, ever faster. No! This is my world. I am in control. He howled. She snickered, shaking her head. Slendy, this was never your world. We are playing by my rules. This is my game. Beth smiled wickedly. You lose. She released him, sending him flying into a massive tree. The tree shattered on impact, collapsing on the vanquished Slenderman. She flew over to the wreckage, landing carefully. He lay in a crumpled heap, motionless. Better luck next time, Slendy. One task remained. She pulled out her notebook and wrote the final message, he's all yours.